Hello and welcome to another episode of GitPython maintenance. It's Byron speaking, and we are looking at issue 344. Does not work with Git's 2.5 worktree feature. So here are some steps to reproduce. Besides that, there's not too much information. But what I could believe is, well, that possibly he's using an older version, but I don't know. Unfortunately, the version is something people as good as never provide here. So as far as I could figure out, Git worktree uses the Git file feature. So there's just, instead of a folder, there's a file .git that contains reference to the actual repository. And in in 1.01 or later, that definitely is supported. So let's see if we can reproduce it. I have compiled GitPython here. So my system's Git version is 2.38, which is rather new, probably because I'm on quite a new OS here. It's beta, El Capitan, I think. So I had to compile it. This shell should have a working version of 2.5.1, which is the bleeding edge here. And I should be able to reproduce this issue. So first, you want to clone something. Let's clone it to GitPython. There we go. And now you can actually, I don't know how that works. You check something out, and then you use the Git worktree feature from that repository apparently, and specify some other directory into which to, or where to add the worktree, I guess. So Git, or let's call it wtgp for worktree GitPython, obviously. And another branch, I don't know, can I just say master? Do I need to specify another branch? Probably just some branch will do. Yeah. So apparently I'm not doing it right. It's already checked out at. This should keep you thinking, or make you think that something probably is going wrong here. I definitely have to be in some repository, I suppose. Okay, let's try it with another branch if it doesn't like this. Doesn't like another branch. Maybe I have to maybe I have to create it, and then I will look up, then I will have a look at the documentation of worktree. I understand what worktree is. So worktree is supposed to create a checkout to some state of your source repository in another directory. But instead of cloning the entire Git repository, it will just refer to the source Git repository. In the worktree, while actually keeping a separate kind of Git repository, maybe only a partial repository, in your original source repository. So your source repository will track these worktree references. Yeah, anyway, so let's see. Git worktree. Probably that is total nonsense what I'm doing here. So I want it to be sourced at this one, then I want master here. Okay, so that doesn't work. And now I shall look it up. So that doesn't work for me, but maybe I can just check out anything. Okay, let's try it one more time. Let's check out whatever. So whatever for me is like some commit, right? So I have a detached head right now. Then I do the worktree magic and say, well, let's give me master. Okay. Something happened. So I'm still where I was before. Do I now have a I do. Cool. So it actually checked it out to that location. That's interesting. What else do I have to do? So now I go in there and then I try to use it in GitPython and then I should be able to reproduce it. Okay. So in theory, there's a .git file here that contains a gitdir. And that is, again, something that GitPython is supposed to be able to deal with. So in theory, let's set the Python path here. Python path is this, and then let's get some IPython magic going on here. I should be able to import Git now. GitDB, yes. So that's a bit odd sometimes. That my Python path does not work as I expect it to work. Which is really weird because I think, yeah, okay, let's do it differently then. Then let's do it the brute force way, which might work better for me. I shall cd there and then call IPython on it. So this IPython instance has a different current working directory, but should therefore be able to import Git just fine. Cool. That is different now. Let's go to temp wtgp. Cool. And now I get my repo instance. Good. So that's cool. I should be able to reproduce. Sorry, I am able to reproduce the issue, but I would have thought this actually works. The right way would be now to set up a feature-gated or Git version-gated test case. And I think I will do this because it should be relatively easy to set up and then to try to fix it. But first, I'd like to just look into this. Repo base. So where's the gitdir and why does it not work? So there's this gitdir handling somewhere. So it's a directory, find gitdir. I think that's the one that does the magic. So it's a dir, yeah, then you handle it. Otherwise, you open it. Then it starts with gitdir, and this is exactly what happens. So in there was an absolute path, right? Yeah, that's okay. So that should point to a valid gitdir, and let's see what's in there. So, something is weird here. I think I was still in less. Yeah. So now that's how the gitdir or the Git repository looks like, that it points to, and at the first glance it looks quite partial. Look at one's objects or one's refs and head, and there is no objects here. Also no refs, so that kind of repository is new. Yeah, I didn't want to bring this one up. So that's odd. I shall have another shell, a real shell for that reason. Oh, I don't know why it takes so long. Z shell really takes 100 years to come up. That is a bit odd and sometimes frustrating. Look, now it's fast anyway. So there is this new commandeer thing that points up, and there's everything I want. All right. So the problem is that I'm totally not able to deal with this kind of repository. It has its own head it has its own reference to the git dir. And what's this git file? Okay, so that's the location of the working tree checkout, and that's probably the index. Yeah, that's binary. So that's just the index of the working tree checkout. Yeah, so I think it should, I mean, git itself, git status. Okay, it must be run on a work tree, kind of makes sense. And also, my git version here is not the one I want to use. So, okay, I can reproduce it. Now I can go into this one, then there's git work trees. So what does git think here? Git status, no work tree. Does anything else work? Like git ls files? Yeah. So I have one thing in my mind. I could relax. I mean, first of all, I need a test case for this. Without a test case, no development will be possible. Then, if I use as an object database just the thing is, for object database purposes, for reading objects, it should, and for handling the index, my current implementation should be okay. And for reading or for handling objects, it should already work if the git command object.db is used. So there's another type, but if I enforce the git command object.db, or if I put an assertion in there that says, okay, if this is a work tree, then I need the git command object.db, then I can kind of prevent worse things to happen. And right now, it prevents it naturally because it doesn't even detect that this is a valid Git repository, which is fine. So what I could do, we read the content. Let me find git dir on it again. So yeah, what I could do is generally my goal is actually not to implement a new feature because GitPython is in maintenance mode, but I can just officially tell that working trees are not supported. And for this, I might want to have a new type of exception, class working tree. How is this called again? Work tree, not working tree. Work tree repository unsupported, which is an kind of invalid Git repository error, I suppose. Thrown to indicate we can't handle work tree repositories like this. All right, nice. And I think Flake 8 would like to have another space here. And now it's all about the test repo. Let's just go way down. We will need a directory where we can set ourselves up here, and it will be feature gated. Test, come on, I can't type today. Test work tree unsupported. So we got the test itself and the read-write directory. And generally, I don't want to do anything if my Git version is not the right one. So do I do a Git version check somewhere? Here I do it. No, it's just version. Oops. Let's try to be lazy. Git version. Here I do it. Git remote. Submodule base. where do I get Git from? So that's the Git repository. I think it's I need an instance of actually that might not be the right one. I am in GitDB pack, so not. It's all GitDB because there should be a git command which has a version info. Version info it's called. It's a property. So unfortunately, I need an instance of the git command. Does it have any special needs, or can I just instantiate it with a path? I think it shouldn't check anything, so I can just ask for the version info, and this will then be cached or obtained when needed. So yeah, I think I can just create one of these guys. Init, not this one, this one. So it just needs a working tree here. Good. So let's see where I get it from. Back there. Do I have Git? I do have Git. Cool. So Git is a new Git on RWD. It doesn't really matter. And then we get the version info, which should return a tuple int. So if this, let's make a call. Oh no, it's a property, right? So if this is smaller than 2.5, then 251, raise skip test work tree feature unsupported from, well, let's say unsupported, right? That should be it. I think skip test I also don't have. But it should be coming in from nose. From nose import skip test. Like this. Awesome. So that should actually already work. If I try it, in the sense that it doesn't fail. Let's go in here. My Git version is 2. Actually, here it's fine. But here, my version is obviously lower. So if I try to run a nose test here, git test repo, and I think M is the flag that I want, then it's work tree something. Should run 1 and skip 1. Cool. So if I try the same here, let's be very lazy and just copy this one. No. Let's try to copy this one and execute it here, and it will at least run. So cool. So there's our base. And yeah, when we now have to set up this work tree thingy. And for that, I guess we clone the row repo, which is our own repository. Clone. I don't know the interface anymore, but there should be a way to clone the current repository. Create a clone from this repository. See, so clone to some path, and we get the master repository. RW master. Is this cloned from OS path join? Do I have join here? Something like it. Join path native. Yeah, join path native should be. No wait, join path native. well, I don't know what it does. It should just be OS path join in the end. What does it do? To native path. Oh yeah, well, I will just use join path native. Should be fine. Join path native, and we use the RW dir with, we call it master repo. Yeah, so that will be necessary to prevent the row repo to be changed in any way, right? But that's the simplest way I can think of to get a clone of some repository without accessing the internet. So then RW worktree is RW. How do it work again? Yeah, I have to check out something else, right? This was the necessary thing for some reason. I would be very happy if there would be another way to do this, but anyway, let's just check out something else, like head -10, who cares, like I did before, and then I should be able to work tree my way to something. How was that line again? Worktree add destination, worktree add, and then the destination, which should be RW dir join path native of a RW dir and worktree repo, and then we specify some branch which is master, like this. Of course, join path native would be this, and now we are fine. Good, so that's our worktree repository, and now we try to set up something that set up a repository here which is supposed to raise worktree repository unsupported. I obviously do not use all here to control my imports or my exports, so no need to change anything there. Do I have some exception stuff? Yes. So let's grab this one like that, right? Okay. So now self fail unless raises. It raises this one, and what do I have to call? I have to create a new repo at this path. Repo, do I have it? I do. Call. And actually now I need the path again, and that obviously returns nothing special. So worktree path is this one. Let's keep it for later so that we can create a new repository. Edit, like so. And then we call repo with worktree path. And that's supposed to raise this. And if that doesn't work, there's a bug. Cool. So let's see what our nose test says. Now it's expected to fail. Did you mean worktree? I did. So that was me here calling it like that, right? No underscore. Cool. So it raised something else, right? And this is why the test fails. That's totally cool. It's totally all right. And now we would have to make it raise this new exception. And that's going to be the fun part. So first of all, in the repo base, let's import it. exe, do I do anything? Where do I get my exceptions from? Oh, here. Embedded Git repository. Let's import that as well. Okay, So now we have to, it reads the Git directory, then we get here, and I'd say, the hacky way of doing it, we have no way of signaling this, is when we try this, we could raise, we could check this one here if it's a directory and all these things exist. If it's a git dir, then we try to open something. Find git dir. Yeah, the thing is that this one reads it, then tries to find it. This is a recursive thing basically that follows all the trails to some repository we can use, but we will never return a path that would allow us to explicitly check for this. So if I don't edit here, it won't work, or it won't easily work. So what I could do is I could remove these two checks and add them later, right? And then we don't really need it here, but instead it will fail when it's trying to change. It's a side effect then, right? This is a hacky way of doing it, that's for sure. But it's also the fastest way I can think of now, because all the recursion, all the following of the Git files is handled here, which might be a bad design to start with, because maybe this guy should follow them, even though it already does in a way. So wait, this guy reads it and then calls itself again. Yeah, so this one is doing the bad thing in a way. So while current path. So this while loop here is to walk upwards the hierarchy, to search upwards if it is allowed to do that. So here's a flag that prevents it from happening. And and this one follows all the repositories, the repository link, using if there are Git files involved. This is happening with submodules, for instance. Yeah, so again, I think it would be easiest to just change it here. So actually I won't need the error or the exception here, but need it here. It should do the job, but let's mark it as hacky at least. So find git dir. So this is the guy who has to do it. He gets the head rev and does something and checks if it's a file. But yeah, this object and ref check here would have to be delayed. So we kind of nest this a bit deeper. Yeah. So if there are these, then we're all good. And then we can start with is there elif? Yeah, there is elif. So then we check just to see if we have to return something that is, or we have to raise the exception that we just made up. So if this, no wait, actually is file, huh? So if is file, join directory, and I think there was this git dir, right? Git dir. This is new. This is one way to figure out if this is a work tree. And we should probably be a bit more picky, because if somebody has a git dir file in the repository root, then this might actually hit for no good reason. So that we could break something with that. Let's try to be very, very picky. What we do definitely is just to throw that exception, we are adding overhead, because we will, if this is not a git dir, we will run into this. But I think it's okay. It's probably worth it. Also, something that I would like to do, invalid git repository error. Yeah, okay. Actually never pass in the failing repository as first argument, do I? Do I? I do. Okay, so I will do the same thing here. Yeah. Let's be very sure. Commandeer git. So we expect all of this to be there. Commandeer git dir git file, right? As must be file. elif is file this. Join. And is file commandeer and is file git file. So all this must be true. So there could still be repositories that look like it and then we will throw, but it is less likely, I guess. So then we raise work tree repository not supported, and there we go. So in theory, that will now make the test succeed. Cannot import name, work tree unsupported. Oh, it's from gitdb. Well, my bad. Of course it's my bad. I'm writing this, so it's always my bad. From git exe import. Yeah, let's pass some information down the road. If it sees a work tree directory, it's quite hacky to do that here, but at least clearly indicates that we don't support it. There is the danger that we will throw. There's a danger to throw if we see repositories, directories, which just look like a work tree dir, but are none. There is the unlikely danger. I think that's more like it. Okay, so that might be working. Cool. It ran. Okay, it also increased the time we need for the tests to by at least 1.2 seconds because of the clone. But well, that's how it is. Okay. Cool, let's run flake, tox e flake 8, which is probably telling me that I forgot some white space somewhere. And there's the usual lc all issue, I always run into it. So, trading white space, fun 39, that's the one. So that could be working now, huh? Invocation error? Okay, cool, that works. Let's give it the full Py2.8 treatment, and I shall prepare commit in the meanwhile. This and this. Let's review, edit a new exception. I added a comma here, who cares? That is not technically required, obviously. Then I'm importing the exception now. Added some documentation and changed the code quite a bit. Let's see if it still runs. And of course I added a test here to verify I can handle it. I should probably, yeah, I think that's all right. So in most cases this test will not even run. But yeah, there are quite a lot of implications here. So fix, what do we fix? Fix repo. Fail loudly if work trees are used. As GitPython is in maintenance mode, we do not. there will be no new features. However, I believe it's a good idea to explicitly state we do not support certain things if this is the case. Therefore, when work trees are encountered, we will throw an exception, throw a specific exception to indicate that. That is good. The current implementation is hacky to speed up development, increasing and increases the risk of breaking, of failing due to false positive worktree directories. Yeah, and that's pretty much it, is it? So that is that. Let's see if the tests worked so far. Okay, there's some problem with the pre-commit hook. And I wonder if Travis has the same issue. Oh yeah, something I forgot is to link up 344. I think it fixes it. Well, it doesn't fix it, but it's related. I should state that in maintenance mode, we don't do new features related to 344. Like this. Cool. And that's a bit, that varies me a tiny little bit. Test index, let's run it explicitly. Test index. Let's see if we can reproduce it here. Yes, we can. Test index mutation 693. Maybe I should fix it. This appears to be working elsewhere, but not for me, 693. So let's look into this. Test index might be unrelated. Also, I merged in a few things that worked for others, but have never been tested locally by me. So here we go. What was that earlier? Oh, actually, it's me who added this. Awesome. Great. Good. So that should probably work. Yeah. Interesting. No such file directory. Pre-commit. Why is it thinking that the pre-commit hook is there? I mean, I'm kind of digressing here because that's not related to issue 355, 344. There's not even a hooks directory. What? Make path. Where does it create this directory and why? I mean, I think the pre-commit hook execution was added later at some point, but it doesn't even. I'm in GitPython 2.5. Sorry, I'm in Git 2.5 here. So I suppose that this totally works with 2.4. See? But it doesn't work here because Git apparently doesn't create this hook folder anymore. Interesting. So there's no default hooks folder anymore. Let's see. Can this be enforced somehow? Yeah, so it's kind of, now I'm digressing. Now this is GitPython, sorry, it's Git 2.5 compatibility here. That seems to be the only failing test, so I think I'm kind of lucky. And since I want to write this, I think all I have to do is to make sure that the hook path exists. OS path dir name. Hook path, and I want to make dirs. I think there is something like that. Import os make dir. So that's a smart one, which doesn't fail if the dir exists already. So I could try to make something that definitely exists. Hey, it doesn't care. Okay, so if, yeah, let's keep HPD then I have to write it out. Fine. If not, OS path is dir HPD, then OS path make dir. I really dislike Python and its API and whatnot, or standard library. But, you know, it's good that I, over the years, memorized this stuff. Otherwise, I would probably have trouble to learn it, because right now, compared to any other language, it doesn't make sense that things are the way they are to me. So, anyway, let's run it again. Now, OS make dir, maybe. Cool, so that is fixed as well. Awesome. Great work. Fix compat make test work on with Git 2.5 greater or equal 2.5.1 or something. I don't know. Probably it's 2.5 that added it. Good, that is that. And considering that my tests actually worked so far, yeah, I'm taking the risk here and push the stuff. Good push. There you go. So now this should show up here as well. And it's time to finish it up. Thanks for letting me know. As GitPython is in maintenance mode, I won't be adding any new features. However, I added a check to throw an exception specific to worktrees, letting people know the feature is not supported that way. Yeah, that is that. Thanks for understanding. Cool. Thanks for watching and have a great day.